What does PS Audio do to prevent equipment fires? You gotta admit, we get some great questions up here. I do love them and I so appreciate them. James in Kent, Ohio is asking about fire safety standards. Hey Paul, I just read Art Dudley's column in the new issue of Stereophile in which he writes about a solid-state amplifier he was reviewing when it caught fire and produced quite a lot of smoke. No one was injured. The house did not suffer fire damage. Thank God. But it took several days of work to rid the house of odor and smoke, soot. That got me to thinking, what precautions do you at PS Audio take to prevent things like fire in your equipment? What precautions do you take to protect those who cannot resist their curiosity to take the covers off their equipment to see what is inside and maybe poke around a little before they utter their last earthly question, gee, I wonder what this thing does? What a great question. Thanks, James. I gotta share a little story with you. Years ago, I think in the late 1970s, probably maybe the early 80s, when after Stan had left PS Audio, and Dr. Bob Odell came on board. He was our amp designer. And Bob designed something called the 200C, which many of you still have. I mean, there's still thousands of them out there, great amps. And the 200C had a big open frame relay that when you turned it on, sometimes you hit at the right point of the power cycle, it'd make this big bright blue flash. And I mean, it certainly wasn't dangerous, but it did frighten a few people. Anyway, I won't go over about putting covers on things. You'll learn over time, right? I mean, that's been a number of years ago. So the Absolute Sound reviewer, Tony Cordesman, Anthony H. Cordesman, who's a security analyst, but one of the great reviewers around, and a good friend, and just a wonderful human being. Tony had a 200C at home, and something happened. I don't know what happened, but something happened, and it went up in smoke. I don't know if there was any flame. Where there's, what is it, where there's smoke, there's fire, I guess, you know. I mean, no one saw any flame, but let's imagine that it probably did. Probably an electrolytic capacitor went south, and billows of smoke come out of this thing, and his wife is there, and she freaks out, and shutting everything off, and so Tony called up, mad as a wet hen, and he said, just so you know, I have been sent out to the porch. My whole system, everything that I have, except for the loudspeakers, my wife has demanded goes out to the front porch, or to the side porch. They had a sort of an enclosed indoor porch. And she bought me a fire extinguisher, thanks to your damned amplifier. We had the honor of making the amplifier that produced enough smoke to get poor Tony kicked out of his living room. And he's a reviewer. I mean, that's what he, you know. So we never lived that one down. That was, but we never had anything cause trouble. So, bottom line is, it's pretty rare that something will catch fire. We pay particular attention to the types of boards that we use. They are fire-rated FR4. They are all encased in metal chassis. We go to great lengths to make sure that even if there were a fire, and there's nothing really flammable in there, and we use components and parts, especially the circuit boards, because there are paper boards, and there are, you know, some of the cheaper stuff out on the market today have boards that, I don't know, I would say they're flammable, but they can light on fire. They rarely do. But you can buy stuff that's more mil-spec, and that's what we do. But at the end of the day, it's all wrapped in a metal chassis, and you know, there are hundreds of standards that we have to conform to. When a product is done here at PS Audio, and certainly we're not the only ones, but when a product's done, let's say it's done March 1st, it won't be until May that we can even think about producing it. There's at least 2 months of, oh my God, the poor guys, they have to go down to all these testing labs and conform to CE regulations, conform to safety standards, fire standards. They put in high voltages, they try and kill the thing. I mean, it's nuts. It can't, we spend $10,000, $20,000 on every single product before it ever sees the light of day, just to meet specifications. And most companies in our industry have to do the same thing. I mean, they should. We sell things in Europe, and so to sell something in Europe, you have to be CE certified. Your transformers have to meet CE certification, and these are far more rigid and inclusive than the UL standard. I don't know if you know this, but Unger Laboratories, or UL, that's a private company who just makes their money testing things for people and is not required by anybody. UL is just, yeah. So anyway, yeah, we go to great lengths, from the parts we use to the way that we certify things and get them done so they don't light your place on fire. And thank God, after 45 years, we still haven't done it. Although poor Tony had a billow of smoke coming out. All right, I'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.